It's very interesting. Heart attacks are going up dramatically in the youth, in young children. The numbers are unbelievable. There's an increase of 200%. It says that heart attacks in children younger than 18 years old increased from 3 per 100,000 children in the year 2000 to 8.2 per 100,000 children in 2020. And we know that statins and other drugs for high cholesterol actually cause heart attacks. And we know that vaccines have the ability to cause inflammation of the heart muscle, myocarditis, pericarditis, inflammation of the lining around the heart, endocarditis, which can then lead to heart failure and death. That is, over a span of 20 years, a doubling. They looked at the hospitalization records from 2016 to 2020. They found that the rate of heart attacks increased from 8 per 100,000 in 2016 to 19 per 100,000 in 2020. But when you look at the 20 to 40 age group, it went from 27.5 per 100,000 people in the year 2000 to 64.9 per 100,000 people in 2020. The researchers say future studies will help us understand what is driving the increase in heart attacks among young adults. I think it could have an effect. But of course, they're not looking at this either. You could possibly have some connection there where the stress is causing a physical manifestation in the body, because the mind controls the body. Or is it the isolation, the loneliness, the lack of social interaction that affects the emotional part, the mental part of our well-being? Myocarditis. The incidence of myocarditis from the COVID shots is 26 per 100,000 people. Interesting. Now compare that to what we're seeing here. 8.2 per 100,000 children and 19 per 100,000 in adults. So it looks like the shot is responsible for this, but they're not doing any studies to find out. Is that connected to heart attacks? I would suspect so, but again, they're not looking at any of these causes. Are we talking about what's driving it? No, I mean the obvious would be the introduction of mRNA vaccines and a mass vaccination campaign. If you get a sore throat and you get strep, we know exactly what caused it. I think there's a lot of other things, too, that are contributing to this problem. I think it's pretty obvious that there's a connection between the vaccines and the heart problems, but they're not looking at it. In the past, you used to hear about heart attacks in older people. Now we're starting to see them in much younger people. It's very sad. The CDC, the American Heart Association, the American College of Cardiology, they're all funded by pharmaceutical companies. If you'd like some help with that, check out the website below. And I put a link down below to the study as well. So you can imagine how biased they are to not point the finger at the vaccines. They're not going to do it. And she had a positive troponin test, meaning that she had damage to her heart muscle, but they couldn't figure out why. They gave her aspirin, nitroglycerin, and then they admitted her to the hospital and put stents in her coronary artery. And of course she did fine after that. If you develop pneumonia, you get a chest x-ray, you get antibiotics. We know it's bacteria, maybe some virus, but when it comes to the heart, oh no. We never connect the dots. But that's not what they're looking at. They're not even asking the question. Heart attack rates have risen in young adults during the COVID pandemic. Did she get a vaccine recently? Was she on a statin? Has she been eating junk food? Has she been exercising or not exercising? Have there been any changes in her life? No, they don't seem to be interested in finding that out. If you're in that category, you need to start thinking about what happened that changed the chemistry in your body. I believe that there is a major connection with these heart attacks in young people with the introduction of vaccines. I think it's a unique problem that wasn't there before, and that most likely was the injection. I'm convinced of that. They say there's no science behind it. I'm not saying it's the only reason, but I think it's one of the major reasons. This is from Northwestern Medicine. Researchers say it is unclear if the increase in heart attacks in young adults is linked to the pandemic or due to other factors. They did not look at that. Well, I have my opinions. First of all, if you have risk factors for heart disease, then obviously your risk factors go up. So if you're overweight, if you have insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, prediabetes, diabetes, high blood pressure, high triglycerides, low HDL, then of course your risk goes up. So that could account for some of the increase in heart attacks. So it more than doubled, it actually almost tripled. Let's talk about that because this is, I think, something that could be related to what's being injected into people. It's very interesting. A study just found that heart attacks are on the rise among children and young adults. What is going on? I want to share this with you. Researchers saw more than doubling in heart attacks in those younger than 40. Again, why? We don't know. Well, I have some ideas. The study was published in the Journal of Pediatrics. Now, it's not like there's a massive amount of heart attacks, but it definitely has gone up. I'm sure that there's many things contributing to this, including sugar, including lack of exercise, including obesity, including seed oils. But you also have to take a look at what has been introduced into the population over the last 20 years. And guess what? A lot of people are a lot of people are getting vaccinated. And we do know that both of those things can affect the heart muscle, so there's something really weird going on here. Now, here's another study that I found very interesting. The study included nearly 100,000 adults between the ages of 18 to 45 years old who had a first-time heart attack. Here's the big question that they didn't answer in this study. Or is it the fact that many young people have developed anxiety and depression issues over the last 2 years? Is it the massive amount of cortisol that people were exposed to over the last 2 years when everything shut down and everyone was isolating and there was fear in the media everywhere? What's the bottom line? But I'm talking about people that are perfectly healthy, that should be having heart attacks, we know that COVID shots can cause inflammation of the heart muscle. Why is it that they're not doing any studies to find out? Could it be that they don't want to admit that the vaccine caused it? You know, if you get a cut on your finger and you get tetanus, we know exactly what caused it. The other day I was reading a case study of a 32-year-old female who had chest pain, palpitations, shortness of breath. Now, what they didn't do is they didn't explore what caused the problem in the first place. The only thing they seem to be interested in is giving her a band-aid and making her feel better temporarily without fixing the underlying cause. And I've talked to doctors who completely disagree with me and say there is no way it could possibly be the vaccine. And so I think it's time to wake up and realize that it is up to you to investigate and research and see for yourself and decide for yourself what you believe. So I wanted to bring this study to your attention because I think it's quite alarming. There's a lot of things you can do to fix this problem. Hey, before you go, if you're benefiting from any of this content, please share your success story in the comments below.